The Arch formation. My personal favorite formation, that one of the oldest formations in the game, came out right when all this stuff happened with armaments. We got the Arch formation. And really, it wasn't very good when it first came out because there wasn't a whole lot to use it for. But now we've got Smite and we've got Combo. We got all these things enhanced by normal damage, so things have changed. Now, we're going to go through myth versus fact. And I'm going to lay it down for you because I get asked a lot of questions, and I don't know where these people get these ideas from. But this is the video that will help you understand when you want to use Arch formation and when you don't. When you want to try to go get it for certain commanders or certain troop types, and when you don't. So stick around because I got a feeling this is going to surprise a lot of you. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chadsky. I do these videos all the time. And if you enjoy these videos, please throw a thumbs up on here, give it a like, and consider subscribing. Become part of the legion of people who are jumped in and subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. Also hit that bell if you want to get any alerts when I put out content like this. Now, these are some of the nuances of the game that I love talking about, right? And I am one of the very first players ever to invest in Arch. And the reason why, and I'll just take you guys back through a quick history. This was the first special inscription I got. It was like a week after armaments came into the game. I got lucky. And not only did I get a special, I got a double. And you couldn't change back then. You didn't have conversion stones, so I had to go all in on Arch. And so I'm just telling you, I've got more experience running Arch armaments than anybody in the game because I've run it from day one and I've run it to the end now with my Attila. And so I will help explain some of these things because there's been questions about Arch versus Pincer. There's been questions about Arch versus Delta. There's been questions about when you use Arch and when you have it and when you don't. And so we're going to go through those because there's some myths out there and I don't know where anybody gets these from because I've always said the same thing over and over. Now, when they put Pincer in the game, okay, and Pincer came out about 6 months ago. And when it did, we looked through the special inscriptions. We looked through all the different things that it had and all the special inscriptions and what they did. And we declared that Pincer was broken. Like, it is so good as a formation. The special inscriptions are off the charts. What it does for Smite marches is just off the charts. It is so overpowered, okay? And that's why Pincer with BQ and Luce and now Sun Tzu and even Wallace, it's so good. It is just so good to have Pincer. Okay, and so one of the first questions I get, and this is what people have to understand, they'll run 2 Smite marches, and they'll run a BQ and a William Wallace, and then they'll run a Luce with Alex. And the number one question I get when people are running either Luce with Alex or BQ with Phillip is, oh, I better use Arch because I don't have 2 Smite commanders. If I'm only running Luce with Alex, I only have 1 Smite commander, and then I have a commander that actually does skill damage, right? But the point that people have to understand is that does not call for Arch, okay? And this, I have to be very clear about this, okay? Even if you only have 1 commander in a Smite march, even if you run a Luce with Alex, even if you run a BQ with Phillip, okay? Even if you run a William Wallace with Phillip, even if you run 1 commander that's a Smite commander in a march, Pincer will always perform much better. It just will. You can go into the simulator, you can test it for yourself. If you go like for like, if you take any Pincer situation and you convert it to Arch, or any Arch situation, you convert it to Pincer, whether it's, hey, I've got 2 rares and some commons, or I've got a special and 2 rares, whatever it might be, if you go like for like Arch versus Pincer, okay, the Pincer will always outperform, always, even with marches that only have 1 Smite commander. Okay, I have no idea where people kept running Luce and Alex with Arch. That didn't make any sense to me. Even if you're running a Luce Alex, you run it with Pincer. It does so much better. If you're running BQ with Phillip, you run it with Pincer. It does so much better. You don't need Arch. Arch is not what you need when Pincer is so overpowering. It can take 1 commander that does Smite and make the whole march better. That's how good Pincer is. So that's myth number 1 that we got to get out of the way. Okay, the only reason why people for infantry should have an arch formation, okay, is if you are running the Gorgo Garrisons and you run it for anti-smite. That is the only time you should have arch formation. And if you're a Garrison player and you have an arch formation set, then obviously, yes, you can go run that in the field because you're not going to change it over. You need it for your Gorgo. Okay, so you can run that in the field. But if you do not Garrison, then you have no business having an arch set for your field. If you don't run a Garrison, you should never have an arch set for your field for infantry. That is not how that works. That is myth number one, and that is a myth that is busted. Okay, because that just does not work. Pincer will always do better. Okay, the other thing to think about for you Garrison players, and this is one thing that is fact, the thought that now we're getting into artifact KVKs, okay, and now you're thinking about running some different artifact KVKs with some of the new commanders now that we have more smite and more combo. Well, the question was asked to me, Chadsky, what if I've got arch for Gorgo because I'm a Garrison player? Okay, pretty reasonable. And what if I want to run a Garrison and I want to get some AoE and I want to get more punch to it? What if I want to run Gorgo with David? And of course, David is a combo commander, okay? And he's going to ramp up the defense. Of course, we know he's going to mitigate skill damage, which is pretty crazy because Gorgo does the same thing. And he's going to give some more combo attack bonus, which is good. And he's going to put a combo debuff on the target. Well, that has nothing to do with normal damage, and it has nothing to do with a buff to yourself, okay? And then you've got some different things with his expertise, and you do 5% more damage when you're less than 50% troops. Well, all of a sudden, you start looking at this and saying, hey, wait a minute. If I run Gorgo, and I run Gorgo with Pincer, I really can't run that with David, okay? And I want to run Gorgo primary because Gorgo has the 900 rage requirement. Okay, well, if I run David and I want to put Gorgo behind David, okay, well, that doesn't really work because it's disjointed on his force skill. So it has to be a Gorgo-David pairing. Well, that's great because if Gorgo, odds are these infantry garrisons still have an arch formation. I know guys like Maury do. There's all kinds of guys who have, I know Crix does. I knew back in the day before he retired, Moles did. In GT. And so when you have arch formation from Gorgo, you can run an artifact and put David behind it because Gorgo is doing nothing but ramping up normal damage. That's what she does. You're going to do 10% more normal damage. Okay? The target's going to take 30% more normal damage. And then you're going to ramp up to 30% more normal damage. And honestly, it is just one of those things with Gorgo to where you can run her with arch and you can put David behind her, and all that's going to do is enhance David's combo. So that's something we need to keep an eye out for as we get more artifact KVKs. I want to see players with a Gorgo Arch infantry setup put an artifact on David and go run Gorgo David because it would be broken. It would be so good. I'm just telling you. Like, that might be the counter to the new Ivar rally right now. Ivar, however you want to say it. Okay, because he's cooking right now. But an artifact KVK, if you are one of these Garrison players that still has arch formation, and for whatever reason you might have David maxed or you got the luxury of having that, I know some probably don't, I'm interested to see what a Gorgo David looks like. So that's another myth that could be true. And I really think it is when you think about what you can do with Gorgo and what she enhances. We all know that you put any kind of smite or combo behind her, she's going to do really well because she enhances normal damage. Well, you enhance that normal damage by using Arch, and then you can put combo behind her, and you're cooking. So that's one of those things we have to test and look out for, but you just know where you got it first because that's what I'm telling you. All right? And then the last thing we want to get into when it comes to Arch. Okay, so here's what we've defined. If you are not a Garrison player for infantry, you don't run Arch in the field. You run Pincer. Okay, Pincer is always going to be better. I don't care if it's a Luce Alex March or a BQ Phillip March or a Luce Phillip March. Even if it's just one Smite Commander, you run Pincer. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Then we talked about Gorgo with David. Now we're going to talk about Attila, okay? Now here's the thing with Attila, and this is what people have to understand, because I'm a breath away from doing this. I am watching players like use Ivar, and they're trying to figure out if Ivar, whatever, they're trying to figure out if they can run him with Sun Tzu. People are trying to find new metas. Is Gang, is he better primary with Achilles? Can I run Arthur Achilles? Like, can I run Sun Tzu with Wallace? Can I run Sun Tzu with BQ? Everybody is like literally racking their brain trying to figure out what's meta, right, in the field. And we have some bona fide like meta marches. But one that has been staring us in the face, and listen, I have been running this more than anybody. I have been running an Attila with Arch. Now, granted, my Arch didn't look like this a couple of years ago when I first started, but I have been running Attila with Arch and Artifact KVKs, and I've been putting Luce behind Attila with an Artifact, and it has hands down been my best March for 2 years. And it's not even close. It's not even close. And that's one of the things that I think people have to understand when it comes to this. Now, I have showed you guys many, many times. I've showed it to you many times, is that when we get into this thing and we try to kind of look through some of these things, these are my reports when it came to last KVK. Any smite or combo commander I put behind Attila, they do stuff like this. It outperforms my chin, not by much, but that's how powerful it is. And what I try to attest to people is that if you have like for like when it comes to Attila, basically you can say, hey, Chadsky, you know, I've got, let's see here. Let me just pull this thing up here and show you my chin. If you took this chin stuff I've got right here and you convert all that like for like to Arch for cavalry, same cavalry stats, same Arch special inscriptions, you go put it on cavalry with the same gear, the Attila Achilles will literally perform as well as Chin. I know it's hard to hear, but I'm just telling you, anybody that tries to tell you guys that Attila cavalry arch formation isn't good, they've never run it before. Every single person I know, and there are dozens of them that are in my Discord. You can join my Discord. The link's down in the description. Okay? Every one of these players who runs Attila with Arch, they freaking love it. They love it. You can put David behind Attila, does well. You can put Hector behind Attila, it does well. You can do anything you want. You can literally get yourself in a situation. I was running an artifact with CJ behind Attila, and it was like my best trading March. And so we're over here racking our brains trying to figure out what the meta is and all that stuff and how we can do different inscriptions and different armaments. And I'm just telling you, if you decide you're going to commit to a cavalry arch set, and by the way, you don't even need destructive. That's counterproductive. You only need 3. Or honestly, you only need 2. Like 2 of these 3. It doesn't even matter. Fearless is the best one, but you could use straight to the point, or you could use invincible. You get 2 out of 3 of those, and I promise you, your Attila with Achilles will be one of your best. It'll rival your Chin. Okay, and so that's the thing. I've run these things more than anybody. Any smite commander you put behind Attila, any combo commander you put behind Attila is gonna go berserk, especially if you're enhancing all of this normal damage that Attila does and his all damage when you enhance all that with the arch formation. It's been staring us in the face for years. And it's like we forget, we don't want to admit Attila's good in the field. I'm sorry, guys, but you go like for like. You take your Huo right now, okay? People who still have Wedge, you guys are perfect candidates. You go take your Huo right now with the gear you run on Huo, whatever that gear looks like. You put all of this on Attila, and you convert all of this minus the Hunter over to Arch, okay? With the rares and special inscriptions, and Attila will far outperform. And so from that standpoint, we need to stop trying to, again, we're doing mental gymnastics trying to figure out new metas and new things like that, and just try it. And listen, the last thing I want to hear is somebody saying, hey, well, so-and-so said it's not very good. They've never tried it, dude. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. You go ask any player that has any sort of arch combination. You get 2 of these 3. Just 2 of these 3 special inscriptions. And you go run Attila in the field with either a smite damage commander, AoE, and artifact KVK, or go put Achilles behind him, or go put David behind him, or go put Hector behind him, or even Phillip. Go put anybody you want behind him. And they will tell you it's one of my best trading marches, like hands down. It's like the perfect march. You can't swarm it. It's still going to trade positive. If you ignore it, it's just going to pound you. And that's what I'm trying to say. Guys, this isn't an Attila simping thing. I'm not here. I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to tell you exactly what's going on in the game. And if you sit there and you downgrade Attila because you say, oh, well, that's just because, Chatsky, you got a special arch setup. No. Talk to other players who have this. Andre over with me in 2359. He freaking loves it. Amthala loves it. Okay? My buddy Too High just moved everything over to arch. Peace is running arch. Addy was running arch. They all love it. All these players, you go in my Discord and ask, hey, anybody running Attila with arch with a couple of specials? And they'll be like, hell yeah, it wrecks. And it does. It's just crazy good. And I tell people this all the time because I have been running Attila with Luce behind him in Artifact KVK. That's why I loved Artifact KVK so much. I could run Attila Luce, and then I could run Attila Gorgo Garrisons. And I would run Attila and Luce, and trust me, people who saw that in my kingdom were like, that is diabolical. How did you do that? And I'm just like, you just got to have arch. And so from there, I always say this about Arthur. Guys, if the game just made Arthur a combo commander as a secondary, I am telling you right now for a fact, if you have great arch armaments and they made Arthur a combo commander as a secondary, not a skill damage commander, but a combo commander, Attila Arthur would be the best march in the game. Period. End of story. Like, there's no question about that. If they had some kind of toggle right here where you could flip on and off whether or not you wanted him to be skill damage or combo, and you could make him combo as a secondary, then I could put this behind my Attila. It would be the best march in the game. I'm just telling you. Because right now, Attila with our boy Achilles is as good as anything. Like, it's literally as good as anything. And so that's what I'm trying to help explain to everybody, that if like for like, if you take the same gear and armaments you have on like your Chen or your Sun Tzu, okay, and you say, okay, I'm going to take that same gear and armaments or the equivalent of that and put it on Attila with cavalry arch armaments, and then you go run an Attila with Achilles, it'll do just as well. I'm just telling you. And that's fact. That's not a myth. You can ask anybody who's got that stuff. And so that's the main thing about these arch things that I wanted to explain to everybody. Now, when you talk about the rallies, people always still ask me to this day, hey, can you run Attila with the rallies with Delta? Of course you can. Can you run Attila David Garrisons with Delta? Of course you can. It does great. It really does great. But arch is where it's at. You're going to get swarmed, or you want arch, okay? Arch does something super special with Attila. With these boosts of normal damage, with the straight to the point boost of normal damage, it does something with Attila that just makes it go berserk. And that's how this thing works. All the normal damage Attila does, it just makes things go berserk, okay? And so you can run Delta with the rally with Subutai, you can run it in the Garrison with David, with Attila, and you can even run it in the field. If you're like Chatsky, I'm going to run David behind my Attila, but I only have Delta. I've got a second Delta set. Can I run that? Of course you can. No problem. But if you really want to go make a sacrifice and you really want to go do it and you want to have one of the best marches in the game, then go make an arch. Like, I have been a breath away from telling everybody to make a Cav arch, but now that everybody's gotten all these inscriptions and now that people are just kind of running out of areas they can go improve their marches with their inscriptions, it's like, go make a cavalry arch, put it on Attila, and go put any combo commander you want, or go put any smite commander you want in an artifact KVK, go put them behind Attila and watch what it does. It is that good. So with that, love doing these kind of videos. I want y'all's opinion down in the comments. Okay, I don't need another, oh my gosh, Chadsky, I had to drink every time you said Attila, and now I'm hammered drunk. I don't want to hear any of that, okay? What I'm trying to say is Attila with Cav Arch, it's something people are doing more and more. Minty's doing it now. In 1093, I finally got him doing it. Don't listen to anybody who hasn't run it, okay? And listen to the people who have run it. See the stats for yourself. See the reports for yourself. It's insane. And so from that, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Get down in the comments. I love getting down there and interacting with you guys. Also, join the Discord. The link is down in the description. And with that, We hope you have a great day, broskies.